well, I guess England is just like America, just shittier weather. Oh my God, you can be a woman and you can be funny and cool at the same. Like, wow, yeah. This is definitely my kind of a thing.
He didn't know Ukrainian and you didn't know English, so you guys were communicating by hands, basically.
Yeah, and sounds and just like doing the whale singing to each other.
But that's your preference, no? That was your preference.
Fetish.
Oh, fetish.
Sitting in their bubble, they expand in their bubble, and then they influence the whole country. They continue to watch Russian channels, Russian propaganda, things like that. That's the most like shocking stuff, you know, when you... Because I love Brits for being able to take on a joke, and Ukrainians are so fucking serious. One day I will come back to Ukraine.
Great, wonderful. Episode 7 today. So, today on Identity Talks, I'm joined by someone who wears more hats than most people can handle. Photographer, multidisciplinary artist, filmmaker, actor, and stand-up comedian straight from Kyiv to London. Karyna Aslanova is one of those Ukrainians who didn't just move to UK. She built a creative world there, from exhibition to comedy stages. Today, we're diving into identity, comedy, stereotypes, British culture, and the reality of being a Ukrainian woman navigating London life. Let's get to it. Karyna, thank you very much for being on my show.
Thank you for having me, and hello everybody.
I sent you a message, I think it was a year or so, and I know you were doing a comedy. I think I reshared your I think your post was somewhere else.
Yeah.
I saw that post and I reshared it, and because I saw your name, I found you on Instagram and tagged you in it as well. So I knew that eventually if I tagged you, you would get back to me.
Yeah.
So let me start. I'd like to go a little bit of structure. Let me start with I did a lot of research on you. I even saw your CV on LinkedIn.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you left your CV down there.
Let the interrogation begin.
So let me ask you this question, yeah? Your CV shows years of creative work, photography, videography, exhibitions. How did your journey start in Ukraine?
Well, I was born. First, we're starting from that I was born, and that was a big holiday for the whole city, and everyone was celebrating my birth, the whole country, because that was also on the year of German wall fall. I think I caused that, and yeah, so everyone was celebrating my birth. Anyway, but yeah. My creative journey, I think it all comes from childhood, because I was always artistic and creative baby, and I'm from quite a creative family in a way that, well, like my mom's parents, my grandparents, they were in ballet on ice back in 70s, so they were one of these first people to, you know, cross the iron curtain and like see the world and stuff. So like that was impressive. And like, you know, my grandma had this like a vanity mirror with all these like wigs and makeups and jewelry for the stage and stuff. So that was for me like, oh my God, wow. Like it was my favorite like place to play with. And I was just in general, I don't know, like feeling very free and like very creative. And then obviously in school, it increased. And yeah, and like I wanted like my most conscious choice was like, oh, I wanted to be an actor, and it stayed for me forever. But on the way, I was also like discovering like, oh, directing, filmmaking, photography, and all that stuff.
When did you discover acting for yourself? This was in Ukraine, right? So when did you discover it? How old were you when you said, you know what, I want to go into acting?
I think somewhere like when I was a teenager, maybe like 14, 15. I remember there was a few other girls in my class, and we had this like a very special group. Not mean girls, but almost. And I would bring that famous grandma of mine, the ballet on ice star, who had a bunch of outfits. She'd give it to me. I would bring it to school. We would dress up with these girls, these girlfriends of mine, and we would start to make like little sketches or like pretending that we're doing like reality TV or something like that in front of the class, and we were just like taking a piece, and that was like the most favorite part of school. And
I can see that you're interjecting few comedies and little sketches, as in like Mean Girls and so forth. Just to let you guys know, she is a comedian, so she is going to interject a lot of comedy in here as well. So if it makes you laugh, then write your comments below or text her.
Yeah.
Let me go a bit forward, because we're mostly based in UK, so I want to go Finn. What pushed you to move to UK, and what was the biggest culture shock when you arrived here?
Oh, heavy subject. Well, I think since, again, very young age, it was a thing, like in Ukraine, about like have to go somewhere else. The grass is greener.
Is that what you thought when you were living in Ukraine? That you wanted to go abroad, or did you watch something?
I didn't want it like straight away. I think it's later I started to actually like think about it and entertain this kind of a decision. But I think my parents really wanted to migrate, and especially like my grandparents who managed to travel the world and see and compare things. Like, I guess then it's, almost in generations, the idea of like, you should go somewhere else.
So but if your grandparents used to travel the world, what did they used to tell you? Did they tell you things about outside? What was it like? Because obviously your parents, I'm assuming this was Soviet Union. You were born in a year where Berlin Wall fell. That was 1989, right? And obviously Soviet Union was closed, right? Your grandparents had an opportunity to travel. They came back. Did they tell you stories about what was it like to live in the West?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, because they had tours, and it's a huge difference between tourism and migration, absolutely two different things. So they obviously had amazing impressions, and like they would always like bring furniture, cutleries, everything from abroad, because like that was like better quality, variety, and just in general there was something, like with compared to like all the deficit, and so they were very impressed, and like they were always like telling like, oh, stories like this happened here, this happened there. And so like it was a bit of I think also Ukrainian TV, except doing all the Russian stuff, there was also a heavy impact of American movies. And I think growing up, you're looking at these pictures, you think, well, I guess they depict in real life of people there, so must be good. So, and of course you eat it up, and like you like living with this fantasy that it's
so what would you say? Would you say that your grandparents influenced you and your family influenced you, or was it the fact that you were growing up in Ukraine from early 90s and obviously going into acting, and then that's what influenced you to come to to come to UK? Would you say that was an influence?
I think it's a combination of little things together that making the big picture and then making this big change. But yeah, I think it's a bit of everything.
So let me ask you this question, because this is one of the questions I used to ask Ukrainians in the Ukrainian community. Before coming to UK, what did you actually think about UK?
I don't think I've had this kind of immigrant pink shade glasses, because my partner is British, and although he didn't live very long in the UK himself, still he would tell me how it is, so he would kind of prepare me that like it's not all hunky-dory. And but I thought, I guess my first impressions, like very, very young impressions, were like, well, I guess England is just like America, just shittier weather, right? It's something like that. Or like more elegant and conservative compare. Later on, I think what really sold me is music and entertainment, because like I became huge fan of music, Beatles, David Bowie, and at the same time, comedy, starting from like Mighty Boosh, Smack My Pony, and
but wait, was this in Ukraine you start liking all these musicians?
Yeah, I love that, and I think I even saw some of these shows on Ukrainian TV. So, and that was for me like, especially Smack My Pony, it's like this like 3 British main characters, women doing comedy. And that was for me such a big thing, like, oh my God, you can be a woman and you can be funny and cool at the same, like, wow, yeah, this is definitely my kind of a thing. And like that made a big impression on me, for sure.
So obviously you're watching all this in Ukraine, and then obviously you're meeting your boyfriend. He's your boyfriend right now. Is he your husband now?
He's my husband.
Okay, he's your husband. Sorry, your husband, if you're listening to this podcast. So, okay, when you met him in Ukraine, what was your impressions of him as a British person coming over to Ukraine? You must have been wow, he's actually coming to my country. He's seeing how it is. I wonder what UK is like, what a British man like. What was going through your mind?
I don't think I was like so thrilled. It wasn't this like, oh my God, foreigner, like, and falling on my knees in front of him. But there was definitely certain differences that made me kind of choose him over, for instance, Ukrainian man. Like,
but that's your preference, no? That was your preference.
Fetish.
Oh, fetish.
No, I'm kidding. I think it's just like, he wasn't like, you always have like your type, and then you end up with someone who's nothing of that.
Yes.
So maybe something like this. And but there were certain things that impressed me, and I was like, oh my God. Yes.
Well, okay, tell me 2 things that you saw in him that you're like, wow, I like this in him. What is it that you liked about him?
I think there was definitely this good treatment, not the princess treatment, not making these big differences, but like more like, treating me equally and having conversation with me like, not like, oh, I'm different species who doesn't understand 2 + 2, but it was like actually, and he was impressed also like by me, by the work I do. And so like those conversations that we had in the beginning, by the way, when I hardly knew any English, and that was mostly shown in hands.
Is that how you were communicating?
Yeah.
So he didn't know Ukrainian and you didn't know English, so you guys were communicating by hands basically.
And sounds, and just like doing the whale singing to each other. But yeah, like and trying to understand each other without even knowing each other's language, but still having this like a connection point. Again, like we clicked a lot in our interests and our view of the world, and like it's like it quickly became this like us against the world, like these 2 like little haters, like cool kids who like know the shit like how it should be and stuff. So like I guess.
So I assume this is what pushed you to UK because of your husband, boyfriend at that time,
and that too, but I think I still. Maybe I started to dive into, British culture and entertainment more, even deeper, and it still was exciting.
So, okay, let me say this now. Now you are right, because I know before this show, when we were outside, you were saying that you guys went to Prague, right? It was a country of Prague. You lived there for a little bit. Now you're in the UK with him. Can I just say and ask you, when you arrived here in the UK, let's say 6 months down the line, what was the most cultural shock for you when you arrived? Was there a cultural shock for you?
Yeah.
What was the one for you?
Superficial politeness, I guess.
Meaning what? People being polite to you, but in reality, they're not polite to you.
Yeah, they like completely like, that was like a thing that like it took time to learn with like, someone like smiling at me, a kind of like we're establishing that, oh, you like me, or that's how I perceive it. Like, but then like it's someone who absolutely wouldn't give a shit what happens to me, this kind of a thing.
So where did you find this? Was this at work? Did you go out with your friends in a night out? And then where did you find this? Usually workplace or somewhere in a personal space?
Because my in-laws.
Okay. Okay.
Listen, I really tried. I could never understand people who would have problems with their in-laws. I was always like, come on, you can find a way to talk to anyone. It's not a problem. but then it happened to me, and I'm like, okay, really? Like, it's just, yeah.
Cool.
No, there was this, like, I guess, like, we never told him that we got married, and like, he sent just an formal email to them, notifying them that we did it. So I think there's a bit of a grudge forevermore, and so like they didn't exactly wanted me around. So
I would definitely be, because I know I remember my brother did something like that as well, without even notifying the whole family, and he was already married, and he just sent us a message. You at least got a formal email.
Okay.
That's a legal document, but I got a message saying, yeah, we're married. Like, what, really? Anyways, let me go further down, because obviously now you've been in UK for about what, seven plus years. I want to ask you this question: do you feel like London has shaped your identity or strengthened your Ukrainian side?
Both.
Both.
Definitely. I always feel like some kind of a mutant who doesn't belong in anywhere. Like I know that my mentality have changed, and every time when I would go to Ukraine, I would see certain things that I wasn't okay back then, but then it became even more like, wow, like, you know, and I was even catching myself thinking, like, why is it shocking me so much? Like, I grew up with this, like this, like this is the normal kind of a thing. But then I realized, I guess I'm changing, and so it's the same, like, yeah, I guess, like, again, when once you leave your country and start to live elsewhere, you grow this, like, patriotism. And
but I think for you, the fact that your husband, your boyfriend at the time, but even your husband now, the fact that you're dating a British man and you're dating him, you're seeing his way of life. Plus, you're living in the UK, surrounded by UK TV media, plus what you like, you're listening to. You're integrating a lot quicker, right? So when you're going to Ukraine, you're like, whoa, like such a big difference. In, like you said, even you grew up majority of your life in Ukraine.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit of a mess, and I definitely had, you know, identity crisis not once, thinking like, so who the fuck I am. But I guess any person who have ever immigrated can relate, because, you know, like, there's still like a certain core of you that stays the same, very deep, you know, the one that was shaped in childhood, but then all these different layers, and some layers are getting like off and new ones
100%.
appearing. So it's like, it's a mutant.
So when you arrived there with your boyfriend, husband, have you ever had the feeling where you said, when you look back, what was the moment that felt like, okay, I'm actually building a life here? Did you have this moment with your husband?
Like
that you're actually building life here in the UK. You never thought about, did your husband say to you, okay, you know what, we're gonna stay here for a little bit, but we're gonna go somewhere else?
No, nothing like that. And I don't think I feel completely, like, you know, fully dropped the anchor in a place, like, because, well, one, the life is unpredictable, and like, yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. But there's also this feeling, like, I always have this thing in my head that, like, one day I will come back to Ukraine. You know, I just, you know, don't want to come back empty-handed. I want to, like, you know, do something nice, and, like, you know, do something nice further.
But don't you think it's gonna be a bit difficult for you to come back to Ukraine? The fact that your husband is British, does he want to go back to Ukraine?
He wouldn't mind. I think, like, he is happy if I'm happy, kind of a thing. So, like, he will do whatever I want. Oh, listen, Ukrainian...
You might be the head, but you're the neck. You know where to follow. So let me ask you this, yeah? How has living in the UK changed the way you see yourself as a Ukrainian? You see yourself as a Ukrainian?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so how do you see yourself living here in the UK as a Ukrainian?
Outsider and alone, quite often.
Wait, why do you say outsider and lonely? There's so many Ukrainians now here.
I know, yeah, but, like, it's not all... I'm a bit of a different type, you know, because I'm, like, immigrant and not refugee, and I'm someone who, like, chose to do this. So that is something that sometimes become an obstacle, or like a, you know, separate one type of Ukrainians from another type of Ukrainians. And also, like, you know, with this type of people, we really like to argue with each other and create problems. So
yeah. Of course. If you're talking about pre-war Ukrainians and post-war Ukrainians, yes, and there's obviously going to be another generation of Ukrainians, like we spoke about, when once the war's finished, the Ukrainians that live in Ukraine are going to be coming here in the UK and Europe and so forth. It all depends on all the immigration laws and so forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. But you said the word immigrant, but you're not an immigrant though. Are you an immigrant? Do you consider yourself an immigrant? I don't think you're an immigrant.
Well, I'd rather call it the citizen of the world, free, going wherever I want, because that was, I guess, the goal. I never liked the, you know, ideas of like visas and things like that, especially when you closely know all these processes and all this humiliation. Like, so it's some kind of a rebel inside me. Like, what do you mean I can't just go? Like, you know, I love freedom.
You know, because we're on the topic of Ukrainians in Britain, identity and belonging. So my question to you is, do you feel Ukrainians in the UK actually integrate, or do we stay in our own bubble? Or is it 50-50? What do you think?
I would say the majority, unfortunately, stays in a bubble. And I really don't like that because, okay, listen. The thing is that when you're a refugee and you didn't choose it and it's just, you hoping it's temporarily, of course you're not going to integrate because, like, you know, you don't like any of it. You want to just go back home and you're just waiting for the good time. That's fine. But there is still, and it's very important, of course, to have, you know, your hubs and your culture, and like, especially like it's so needed when you're very far away from home. But there's a certain risk of not integrating into country where you're in, this like a loneliness, this bubble loneliness. And also, I would also bring another parallel, which is very unfortunate, but you know, that's what Russians do. You know, like Ruski Mir and all that, like, it's, again, they sitting in their bubble, they expand in their bubble, and then they influence the whole country. And like, that's a bit...
Wait. What do you mean by the Russians doing? What, you're talking about the Russians that are living in the UK? Abroad?
Well, for example, They continue to watch Russian channels, Russian propaganda, things like that. That's the most like shocking stuff, you know, when you...
Yeah, because I saw on the news, when Putin was getting elected, I saw that line and there was a woman saying, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. Yeah. Obviously, clearly, you can see what she's voting for. And then she tells you, yes, I'm actually going to vote for Putin and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, but then again, UK is a freedom of speech. Everyone has the right to choose who they want to vote and, you know, talk even the Russians. So I agree. But you said about Russians are doing hubs and so forth. What, you're telling me that they're not integrating?
I don't know. I think they like still staying with their own.
But then again, you could probably say you're right, because Russians, they have money, you know.
Yeah.
Some, I know a lot of London properties are bought by the Russians or oligarchs and so forth.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I guess it depends who's it coming from, but in general, like, it feels like it creates sometimes even hostility. Yeah, when you're just sitting in your bubble and you don't want to get out, and other people looking at your bubble and they being like, oh, you sitting in your bubble, and like, why you sitting there like fucking immigrants and all that. So I think, like, when you're on someone else's territory, you better befriend people.
But you said something very interesting. You said the reason why the majority are sitting in their own bubble. But don't you think the reason why they're finding it hard to... I think there's two reasons for it. Number one is language. If you don't know the language, it's easier to be with people that understand you community-wise. So if you've got any problems, you can just ask your community, boom, you get your answers. And two, I think the reason why Ukrainians are finding to integrate, like you said, settlement. If you know that you're a refugee, you're here for temporary. Right? Because right now they've been giving Ukrainians all these extension schemes and so forth, but not a right saying, you know what, this will lead you to the fact that once you finish, you can actually stay here. There's no concrete answer. So obviously there's a lot of Ukrainians right now thinking, well, if I was a doctor in Ukraine, why wouldn't I be a doctor here if I don't know what the future leads? So what's the point of me doing 5 years here eventually they're going to tell me to go back to Ukraine, then I have to, you know.
Of course.
I do understand that mindset, but at the same time, you're studying here. There's so much opportunities here in the UK. But then again, I'm not in the same situation as Ukrainians, so I can't say, I can't answer for them. That's what I think. I can't do it.
There's another side to it as well. It's not just about how people in that situation behave, but also it's the surroundings and the environment. Maybe Ukrainians want to reach out and befriend others and like integrate, but there has to be also kind of welcoming the other side, not just literally welcoming, you can come and live here, but actually people willing to meet other people, different people from them. So there's like a British side plays role in it too.
Yeah, you're right. You said something about identity. I want to ask you this question on this. Yeah, do you ever feel not fully British, not fully Ukrainian? And what does that mean, that in between space feel like for you? You said identity crisis. Explain that to me, because I've been here for 27 years, so I know exactly what you mean when you're talking about identity crisis. But I want to hear from your side. What do you mean by identity crisis? Because I know you're not fully British, because obviously you haven't lived here in the UK for so long. You could say you're not even, you don't even consider yourself British. You said you consider yourself more Ukrainian. So you're not fully British.
Yeah.
Are you fully Ukrainian? Do you consider yourself more fully Ukrainian, or you're somewhere in between now?
I would say I consider myself Ukrainian, but like this very weird, special Ukrainian who has elements of some Britishness here and there, but very little, to be honest. Just, humor. That's a big thing, because I love Brits for being able to take on a joke, and Ukrainians are so fucking serious. They just like, what do you mean? Between the lines, and then like inferiority complex kicks in. What do you mean? I think Ukrainians very serious, guys.
This is where topic 3 comes in: comedy, culture, and stereotypes. So we're going to talk about this, yeah? So you're a stand-up comedian. What was the turning point that made you step up into the stage to be a stand-up? Because remember, in Ukraine, you did acting, all these things. What were you doing in Ukraine, stand-up comedy, or did you start stand-up comedy here in the UK?
I started comedy in Prague, in Czech Republic. Yeah, there was a big community of expats, like British, Americans, Australians, and there were a lot of open mic nights. And my partner was the first. He also does comedy. He was the one he was working like at some boring office, and they had this like a newsletter what the employees do during the week, and he saw one of fucking losers at his office suddenly says like, I don't know, Jason does stand-up actually, and he's like, what kind of stand-up he does? And he then checked out and found the place, and he was the first who said like, you know what, I think I'm gonna try some stand-up. I went just as an audience member, what they call in England and in London, bringer, although there was no such thing as bringer in Prague. I came in and I was watching, I was like filming him, and I was like, these guys suck. These guys are so shit. I can do so much better. Oh my God, I have to do it. I can't just sit as an audience. I need a microphone. I'm gonna do it. And I was so like excited and pissed off at the same time, and those things like really kicked me starting comedy. I came back home the same night. I started to write material. I come up with like these little ideas, and then I signed up too, and I started to do it. And
so tell me, you were, as an audience, you saw that they were crap. You came home, you did all the preparation, and then you went for your first night. What was your first night like?
Oh, very, very nervous and very scared and very like, so on. You like, I mean, I'm more like comfortable and I'm used to stage, but what I'm doing there, like when you acting, that's completely different thing. You have a fourth wall. In comedy, you need to take out a few bricks out to interact with people. Not necessarily back then, and even now, I'm not so much like a crowd work person, but a little bit, and but I've shaped it in such way that my nervousness and all that would play into it. Like I would exaggerate my neurotic type, and so I was like almost playing it, but actually just translating my real feelings into it. Like, and it wasn't so bad actually.
What language did you speak? English.
English, yeah.
So your English was good then. You said that in Ukraine you spoke in Whale language.
In Ukraine, yeah, but that was already in Prague. That was like.
So you knew English by then?
Yeah.
So how many years was that? You met your boyfriend at the age of 18, 19, 20?
I was 20.
20. When how old were you when you left Ukraine to Prague? You went to Prague, right? Straight
27,
away.
26.
Okay, 27. And how long did you live in Prague?
2 years.
2 years. So you learned English in Prague?
No, I already was like.
Oh, so you already knew it in Ukraine?
Oh, yeah, I was killing it then. Yeah, already.
Okay, so you went. So your first night you did well, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It wasn't like, I mean, I didn't crush it, but also it wasn't like, wow, oh my God, like amazing, but it was decent. It was pretty decent. I was like, cool.
So I assume were you the only woman that did it, or was there other women there as well?
Probably.
Because this industry is mostly
man dominated.
Men dominated as well.
Yeah. There were quite a few women on a circuit actually, but per night it would always be like, say if you have like 5 people performing, 3 or 4 will be male most likely, and the rest the women.
So what about what about now? You're doing stand-up comedy here in the UK as well, right?
Yeah.
So how do British people how do they react when they see a Ukrainian doing comedy here? Do you announce that you're Ukrainian, or do they find out because of your accent?
Well, yes. If I will not announce, they will be curious the whole set.
Really?
Thinking that's my assumption, that like they will be thinking, so where she's from. So that's why I really definitely have to announce it, make a joke about it, so then they know who they're listening to.
So let me ask you this: if you don't announce it, and when you finish, and you obviously finish, and you want to mingle with the audience and so forth, do people actually come up and ask you, say, where you from? Your accent. Have you had that before, or people don't even care about the accent no more? This is some, I don't know, maybe that is your key. I don't know.
I think I don't. You again, like most of the time when I do stand up, I always make sure I will mention this way or another way where I'm from, and then we can move on from that, because I just wanna. Okay, let's just establish, like, without doing this. I don't know. I really have this like a bug in my head that like if I won't mention it, this is all they will be thinking about. Instead of listening to jokes and laughing, they will be like, "Oh, where she's from?" Doing their bets in their mind, like.
So let me ask you this: were you doing comedy before the war started as well?
Yeah.
So did you announce that you're Ukrainian?
No.
You never announced it.
No, I did a bit again. It's just because, like, that I do have a lot of jokes being Ukrainian or comparing like things to Ukraine and like, or telling things about Ukraine. So like one way or another, it's incorporated in my comedy.
So and I know you incorporate, because I've seen your videos and they will be on the screen as well. But I want to know, when you did announce you're Ukrainian, what was people's reaction? Did people even knew what Ukraine was?
Before war, it was just, okay, whatever.
And now?
When war started, there was a lot of like, woo, like.
Respect.
It decreased now, and it's just like, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. No more standing ovations for being from Ukraine.
You are the most lively guest on my show right now. Let me ask you this, because I feel like these conversations are gonna go good.
Yeah.
What stereotypes do people openly or secretly hold about Ukrainians? You're a comedian. You must know many.
I guess that like Ukrainian prostitutes are number 1 in Europe. And it's bullshit. It's actually number 4. And there's Polish, Romanian, Russian, and only then it's also Moldovan. So, and like...
Wait. Where's your statistic from? You got the statistic?
Oksana Zabushko.
Send it to me so I can post it.
I will, yes.
Because people will all ask me, where did you get this?
I trust your words blindly. She's such a... Yeah, I'll send it to you. But yeah, like this. So, yeah.
Okay, that's
number 1.
That's one. What other stereotypes you know about Ukrainians?
that like, they are identical with Russians. That's not cool. Another stereotype that corruption, I guess.
Corruption, yeah.
Yeah.
Which one of them is true?
Well, I guess a bit of a corruption, yeah. Why do you want to squeeze it out from me? Like, listen, sometimes, oh my God, I wish in the UK I could sometimes just put a tenner into my GP's pocket, so then they will give me extra 10 minutes of their attention. I fucking wish that was happening, like really, because like sometimes it's life-saving, because I really don't like this robotic system, like, oh, time's out, I have to kick you out, and like, so.
Yeah, it does. You make videos about cultural misunderstandings. What's the funniest or most ridiculous thing a non-Ukrainian told you about Ukraine?
NATO expansion. I guess that's the number one things that come in.
Really?
Yeah, or like just in general, like again, non-Ukrainians telling Ukrainians what's going on in Ukraine. It's like, come on, are you for real? And even, you know what, ironically, just recently I made like a tiny like a reel where like I'm just lip syncing into the Bee Gees song, like You Don't Know How It Feels. Exactly saying that, like, like non-Ukrainians telling Ukrainians what's going on in Ukraine. And the first comment, that was in TikTok, first comment I get, it's actually some dude sitting telling me like, well, actually, and going on into telling me all this like, tinfoil hat information he got from somewhere. And it's annoying, but it's like, if I don't mind when person is open and person is asking questions, and I'm happy to answer. And like, again, if person is open, if they just come into you and they just want an argument or insult you or something like that, that's not cool, obviously. Like, it's like, when men telling women about women kind of a thing. So, sometimes it was situations when I would be at work, like as a photographer, I'm coming in and I don't know who's the client, because sometimes I'm signing up through this like a website and I don't know. And then I'm coming in and then they ask where I'm from and I'm saying Ukraine, and then they're like, oh, it's not the expansion, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's just
really?
like...
What with that face that you said, that seriousness?
Yeah. And like, like completely like going on with like, it's actually like, it's all America, and it's... what else they like to say? That they provoking Putin, things like that.
The Russian bear, basically, with the stick. Yeah.
And like, and I'm standing there, and like I'm getting furious, and I just want to like slap them with the slipper and just leave, but I can't. I need to continue to work with that person, so that's a bit tough sometimes.
Yeah, you're right. You. I want to say something you said about Ukrainian women. I want to touch on this. Yeah, as a Ukrainian woman yourself, right? How do you feel about stereotype of Ukrainian women in Europe? How do you feel about that? Like you said, that people say that Ukrainian women are one of the prostitutes in the world, but obviously you've just dissected saying that they're number 4, not on number 1, and how people in the West kind of stereotype Ukrainian women as well. How do you feel that? Me personally, I don't like it, and I know this has been happening for years. It's been going on for years that Ukrainian women or Eastern European women are so beautiful, blah blah blah. They're only known for this, that. I don't agree with it. I don't think just because a woman's beautiful, you're gonna put her in a category. So as a Ukrainian woman, how do you feel when someone, I don't know, did someone say this around you, or you've done comedy about it, or someone else did comedy? How do you feel about it as a Ukrainian woman?
Well, it's a fetishism, not the cool fetish, to be honest. I mean, kudos to Eastern European women who manage to turn it into their benefit, and if they're doing it, like, great. But like, it's definitely not for everyone, and also, like, I would say it's a patriarchal problem, to be honest, because men really like to divide women into 2 types, either slut or the Holy Mary, and there's nothing in between. So if someone is pretty and haven't been burned as a witch back a few centuries ago, then she must be a slut, and well, what can we do? We're just gorgeous, and like, there wasn't so many witch hunting in Ukraine, so all the pretty women survived. but partying with the devil, and that's why we're so pretty, but we all have hoofs instead of feet. And they all come out on a full moon.
Listen, every time I speak to men that are going through divorce or problem with women, they say that women are evil. They'll go horns coming out like them demons. That's what they say to me.
Yeah.
I want to touch your art and photography as well. Topic 4 is you obviously made a breakthrough into UK creative industry, right? I would like to ask you, what challenges do you think Ukrainians that are in UK right now what challenges do you think they face in the UK regarding that industry? Is it easy to break through? Is it not? What's the challenges?
I would say it's much harder than in Ukraine, but not just because, you're local, you know how the things are working, so you can manage it. But I think the biggest issue is like this different system, and I think the division between classes, because we'll come to it. Let me bring you to it. So in Ukraine, you have chance and you have freedom to actually become someone and earn something and like actually execute the idea of working hard, getting rewarded, In UK, I feel it's not like that necessarily. Like, I mean, there much, much, much less, because there's a lot coming, like, what class you are, what background you are, what amount of money you have and disposable cash to like put into yourself, and how much free time you have, and like what kind of connections you have, and the nepotism coming in also. So it's much, much, much stronger in UK. And it's like, so yeah, sometimes like I even felt like that was another crisis of mine. Like, okay, like I thought will be like almost the land of the dreams coming true, but actually like, you reach the glass ceiling way faster, and then you like, oh.
Let me ask you this. You said you said class system, and you said Ukraine. Does Ukraine have that or no? That class system?
Not as sharp, I would say. I think again, like it's like more of a, like water. It's moving like from one extreme to another, but there's like, people can be thriving doing different things. You can be working class, but you still like, it will be manageable for you.
Would you say that was a shock for you? The fact that, when you're doing a creative industry, you're going in and they're asking for this background, what nationality you are, was that a shock for you?
Yeah, definitely. That was like, oh, wow, okay, so it doesn't matter if like, I have these skills, you just care how I speak. And that I don't speak with like posh accent or something like that. Like the door will always be closed for me. This kind of a thing.
But then again, there's a lot of Eastern Europeans that I know here in the UK that have actually did make it. So how would you say they made it? Is it through connections?
Maybe, because obviously in both countries, England and Ukraine, I think what matters most is having connections, is having friends. Of course, this is like will take you everywhere. So obviously, like being immigrant starting from blank page, it's like you growing it all, like before you actually, have some ties and have like close connections with people. But for me, it took a while, and I would say only now, somewhere, I think this whole last year, when I started to feel like, there are people who I can like reach out to, people who I can like call to. I still don't do it because, too proud. But yeah, and there's a like, I think it's a big difference with like, I think Ukrainians who managed to reach some heights in the UK, maybe they had a better, more comfortable and nourishing environment in their lives. Maybe they had a little bit more money. Maybe there was someone helping, because no chance without it. Like if you like, no pants, no slippers, no chance, I think.
Do you feel creativity is a way for you? Is a way to express your identity or to escape from it?
I think I was always using visual language. I was always using art as a language and a way to speak about social issues, cultural issues. There's always some issues because I'm so problematic myself, and so understanding myself through doing art and speaking to others, like, calling for whatever, like empathy and things that I like to talk about through art, definitely.
But I think, what's giving you another edge, and I think I want to say thank you for doing it, because in creativity, and good that we have all these platforms. We have YouTube, all these social media. Another thing that I noticed in some of your work is that you post on TikTok, you post on Instagram, you post on YouTube Shorts as well. And I know you got other platforms as well. It's good what you're doing, because you see, I noticed that about creative people, when they got creative person, they need to express themselves. They need to show that to the world as well. Do you get that? Do you get that feeling? Because the reason...
Yeah, I can't even imagine life without doing it. Like, even when I have free time, when I don't have any actual like shooting or anything, I'm too bored. Like, and I'm like, no, I need to be making something, because even the process can be pain in the ass, there's still enjoyment in it, weirdly.
100%.
And so like I'm too used to doing all of this.
So which project do you have you done that you are most proud of, and why?
Like art?
Any of your projects. Which one is the one that you're more proud of?
Well, I'm currently at the moment working on editing a short film. Maybe that will be the one. I don't know. It's like a mockumentary.
Wow.
And yeah, we might see it in January. I'm planning, don't know, we'll see. But like I thought, January most miserable month, everyone hangover, no money. So I need to bring some joy. But I think it depends like in which like branches, like, because, I do have like proudest projects like as a art photographer and like as a comedian, like what I've managed to reach, or like as a creator in general. Like it's a lot of little things, and they all my babies, so I can't pick the favorite one really.
Cool. I want to talk about culture, womanhood, and expectations, because you did touch on women. What's the biggest difference between being a woman in Ukraine and being a woman in the UK?
Oh, it's dangerous everywhere. It doesn't matter. It's like, yeah. It's like, it's just different dangers in a way.
You said about accent. Have you ever felt judged or misunderstood because of your accent, nationality, or appearance?
Yeah, but not just in the UK, in Ukraine too.
In Ukraine as well?
Yeah.
Wait. Why? Wait. So wait. In Ukraine, in what sense? Accent?
Appearance.
Really?
Yeah. Because, well, I don't look exactly very typical Ukrainian, right? Because my dad is half Armenian, so that's why I have this, Habibi features.
That's, even me, when I found you on Instagram, when I looked at your picture and your hair was very dark, and I'm thinking, wow, she Ukrainian, she must have something in her. Even me, I straight away think of that. And then even your surname as well.
Yeah,
that's why I asked you as well.
Yeah, so like that's Armenian surname, but Russified, unfortunately.
So even here in the UK, we have all these problems with race and identity and so forth. In Ukraine, you have the same thing, basically.
I mean, well, in UK, I'm definitely white. In Ukraine, I'm questionable, like, and well, it wasn't so much from my peers, maybe it was from like a bit older generations. I remember like some grannies, neighbors, like if they would saw me, they would be like, "Who are you? Like, are you gypsy, or what are you?" And I would be offended, or the derogatory like hach, calling these words, like that's not.
Well, what about Ukraine now? When you go to Ukraine, I'm sure people are much more aware now. No, they don't look at you and thinking, "Wow, you're a gypsy," just because of your appearance.
Oh, depends on who you're dealing with, how developed people are, how how open they are, and how much does it matter to them in the first place.
All right, let me go this one. Yeah, I think you could be an expert on answering this question. How do British men and Ukrainian men differ, if you had to be brutally honest?
Brutally honest, I would say. It's not that I can compare so hard, because I didn't have very serious relationship before my current husband, my first husband.
Oh, your first husband.
I like to joke and tease him sometimes saying that, yeah. But I do have a big comparison of just like watching my dad, like when I was growing up. So like in my personal experience, I love that, British man not going to have his balls fall off if he will wash dishes. And it's not a big deal to do it. It's not like he expecting a reward or something like for doing that, or doing like home chores. Like, I think it's more like a normal thing to take on board. Even if like, both people working or he just working, he still can wash dishes. That's okay. So like, and I think maybe British men missing this kind of a spontaneity aside to them, and like this like a passion, something like that. I think they are a bit more like
more chilled out,
more chilled out and like stable. Yeah. So sometimes I might just create conflicts to spice it up, like until I see him crying, I don't believe anything he says, you can't trust British men too much. But when he crying, I know like that's it, job's done.
You're making me laugh. What do you want people to understand about Ukrainian women that they always get wrong?
Like, well, Ukrainian women are quite unique because we combine all these different qualities together, I must say. Like, yes, you can be and pretty and funny and smart and have PhD and be the boss and also like want to be for some reason trad wife. So like all of it in one personality. So please, I would say like, please don't think we're here to steal your man, because
yeah, but that's what some British people, British people, some of them think that. They think that even Ukrainian refugees are coming here. Look, some of them are very pretty women.
Yeah.
They're thinking that now as time goes on, time ago on, the war keeps on going. They think that some Ukrainian women was going to be stealing a lot of British men.
Look, but it's not like they are objects, right? They're not like chocolate Santa Claus that you can just steal, like they make their decisions, like, so like it's not about that, it's how people click, like I don't think you can really like steal a person, and that's called kidnapping, so like maybe some can do that or into that, I don't know, but like people are different, I would say, like always treat everyone individually and figure out who that person is. And like, be cautious and, be insightful, give a shit, and like approach everyone separately. Don't do this like, everyone is this, everyone is that. There's a lot of assholes in Ukraine, there's a lot of great people in Ukraine. Yeah. So is in England, so it's absolutely everywhere.
I think a lot of people just like to focus on the negative. People like to... small little thing. As soon as the community did something bad, that's it. The whole community is bad.
Yeah, they do that.
Okay, humor, identity, and healing. Do you use humor to cope with identity shock or cultural pressure?
Oh, I'm using humor for everything. Deal with everything, because like that's an ultimate coping mechanism that I discovered. That funny bone in my teens. And that was just like, I was using it like in my real life, that was like 10 years before I decided I will do stand-up. And so like it helped me in difficult situations, and it still does. Sometimes it can be too much, like, I know it because, again, I'm living with another comedian, with my partner. So, like, if he's goofing too much, it just can piss me off sometimes. And then I make him miserable again. And but it's a power thing. It's a very empowering thing. Comedy and humor. Again, it's like, it's the laughter replacing tears. Because sometimes you're just standing in front of these two options. Sometimes you're standing in front of a tragedy, but then you figure out, oh, I can deal with it the other way, and comedy is cheaper than therapy. Anyway.
Do you think comedy is one of the best ways to bridge cultures?
To what?
To bridge cultures.
Bridge cultures.
Like for instance, we're both Ukrainians.
Yeah.
I'm British, right, by passport. Would you say that comedy is one of the best ways to bridge cultures?
Possible, yeah. I think it's again like, if people are able, to have a laugh, to relax, to trust other people in the room, to be laughing and not to be constantly on guard, and when people don't take themselves too seriously as well, you just like have some self-irony, we're just like, bunch of idiots that are gonna die soon anyway, like, it's okay.
I want to ask you a question. This got nothing to do with this, but I want to ask you this. Is there a difference between British comedy and Ukrainian comedy?
Yeah.
Because a lot of Ukrainians don't understand British comedy.
Yeah, definitely.
And for you, did you understand British comedy in Ukraine? Was it in Europe or was it in the UK? Or it took you a little while for you to understand British comedy?
I think I clicked with it like long time ago in Ukraine, back in Ukraine. And when I was like telling you, I was watching all these like shows, and I really liked it and I got it kind of, and I felt like, oh yeah, that's so cool. And it's pretty different from Ukrainian humor.
What's the difference? Can you explain that to us, please?
Difference. When you tell a joke in Ukrainian, there's like no punchline. It's like, it was a thing. I remember I was trying to translate some Ukrainian jokes and tell them to my partner. And I'm like sitting and telling, and then like I finished, and he's like, and then what? And where's the punchline? And I'm like, what do you mean? You're already supposed to laugh. What's going on? Like, and he's like, okay, yeah. So like, it's not like, I still have it in my comedy. I guess like, it's impacted me in some way. Like, I'm not necessarily relying on like strict punchlines. I'm not like a deadpan comedian. Yeah, I expect people to feel free to laugh at any moment when they feel like it. Yeah, and because otherwise it feels for me sometimes like cheating, because it's like punchline is like a card, like laugh now, kind of a thing. But like in Ukraine it goes like too far with like, you can't even, it's even difficult to translate, I'm getting it, but I'm like, what is it? Because it's like, yeah, it's just different things we find funny as well. Like sometimes I can show my partner a video, Ukrainian video, where something's funny was happening, and in general he gets everything really, but he will find another thing to laugh at that same video, while I'm laughing at another thing.
So what about you? How long? This is very interesting for me. Is when you do comedy, stand-up comedy here in the UK, when you were doing it here in the UK, do you review your comedy? Do you review like where people are laughing, where people are not laughing? What can I do to get better? This and that. Do you do that, or you just go on improv?
I prepare a lot because English not my native language, so I need to make sure I'm saying things correctly. I'll double check it. I have this like a whole 100 steps process with like I'm writing it down like in my phone on my notes. Then I'm sending it to Word on my computer. Then I'm rewriting it by hand to memorize them. Then I go and memorize it. Then I want to memorize that, I feel myself. And then
so you memorize all your lines?
Well, it's like, say I'm going to like, to try new material. I better memorize it, and then like perform it without like looking into notes and like just see if it works, it works.
How long does it take for you to memorize your lines?
Well, depends how big. So like, but usually
how long is your show?
Depends how long I'm given time to perform.
What's the longest that you had?
20-30 minutes thereabouts. Yeah, but like it's harder to find because like, it's all these paid spots and then they want famous names and stuff, so it's not as easy. But like But you building it like at this open mics when you just have like 5-10 minutes, like you bring in this new material and like you see if it works or not. But like for me, I do need to like memorize it then.
But you know, that's crazy though, because in a big scene right now, is there any in the top scene right now here in the UK? Is there anyone that's Eastern Europeans, anyone who's from Ukraine or anyone from Eastern Europe that is doing comedy? Is there anyone?
Yeah, actually.
Who's?
I'm afraid I will say his surname wrong. This Romanian guy, Victor Patrascan.
That's fine. We'll find him. We'll put a picture.
Yeah.
Is that the only guy Romanian? No Bulgarian, no Polish, not Ukrainian. Anyone big?
Well, worldwide, I would say he's the one that like he's touring constantly and he's going everywhere in Europe and everyone loves him.
So he's speaking in English, or
English, and very like with the accent, with the way how he speaks. But like I think most of his stuff is like a crowd work. But like he's pretty good.
Don't you want to be someone like him, but representing Ukraine in a world stage or even here in the UK?
Of course, yeah. Well, I want to have my path and I want to be myself. But definitely, I'm open to it.
Are you willing to do stand-up comedy for the rest of your life if that was an opportunity, or you actually want to leave stand-up comedy and maybe go into acting or somewhere in between?
Well, I'm already juggling all of this at the same time, and I'm kind of having this approach to it, like whatever comes my way, I'm trying to do all of this.
Diversify.
But whatever comes my way, then I will push harder with that thing or this thing. So like, again, it's not an easy, apparently,
industry to break through.
Industry, especially comedy, because like you would think acting is difficult. I would say comedy is even more difficult. It's even narrower and and misogynistic, and also like gatekeeping and all that stuff. So there's a lot of that to work on.
I got a few signature moves that I always ask on Identity Talks. My first question to you: who are you today, and who are you still becoming?
In which way?
Who are you today, and who are you still becoming?
Today, I don't know. I feel sometimes I'm like this, like a 12-year-old Holodets floating in a limbo between different worlds, and just trying to land and become in the shape of a pig. Like they like to make holidays in a weird shape, or a teddy or something like that.
So that's today. So who are you becoming?
Oh, I'm becoming solid holidays. I'm becoming like proper, unique one. No, like okay, I'm just keep taking a piece. I'm someone who's like struggling a lot, very depressive and miserable, but then like I'm constantly trying to work through it, because there's no other way. It's never gonna end, the misery. And just like leave some mark, but just like create more things. And
Okay, if you could speak directly to British society, what would you want them to understand about Ukrainians?
Dear British society. Oh my god, no pressure. That is like, get rid of these stereotypes in your head that like, it's all like about smoke and destroyed buildings and miserable people. We are just like you, people, full and multi-sided, and like with rich culture, with amazing talented people and smart people, and like we just need to exchange more and mix more, and like and also please for real appreciate Ukrainian food a bit more. It can't be like you eating lovely borscht and going like that's nice, and then you eating fish and chips and greasy spoon and you also go that's nice. A bit different reaction, please.
Okay, this is my key question that I always ask all my guests is, what does identity mean to you in one sentence?
Where do you belong, I guess? And there's also a question, who is you? I guess belonging and understanding yourself.
Okay, great. Where can I?
Is that a right answer?
That's your answer. I don't know what to say.
No, there has to be right answer.
That's your answer. But belonging is a big one. Even I would answer. If you ask me that question to me, I'd answer that. Belonging.
Do you want me to ask you this question?
What does identity mean to me?
Has anyone asked you that?
I've asked myself that question.
Well, okay. What does identity means to you?
Number one, it means belonging, and number two, it means bringing two identities into one. I was born in Ukraine in 91, so 2 years after you.
Mm-hmm.
Born in 91.
Milk sucker.
I was born in 91, and I remember my mom telling me that every time she went to a shop, there was nothing there. There was no food, no product, and so forth. In 98, my family immigrated here to UK. I've lived here 27 years. By passport and by indefinite to remain, I'm British. I did have identity crisis many times. I never knew if I was Ukrainian or British because you speak with English people, they never see you as one of them. When I used to go to Ukraine and I used to say, speaking Ukrainian, like, oh, you're British boy because of your accent. So I couldn't see myself as Ukrainian. So I did have an identity crisis. Now that there's many Ukrainians here and I went into the Ukrainian community, I did a lot of work out there. I did amazing work, but I realized my mentality is different. Lived here all my life. I'm not as Ukrainians that come here in the UK. Even though I try to be as much as them, I realize my mindset is completely different, British. But I see myself more like a bridge between two cultures. So it's nice. Identity
Messiah.
Well, not Messiah. I believe I do have some mission. I have a mission. This is one of the great podcasts
You come
that
up
we have.
with your missions, yeah?
Yeah, you have to think about it. Identity, belonging, and I think having two identities, seeing it as one. But it's difficult to see it as one because
sometimes they call it bipolar disorder.
Yes. Yeah, it could be motivate. But anyways, listen, I wanna wrap up. I wanna say, where can our followers find you, and where can we find not just find you, follow you, but also maybe collaboration as well in the future?
Yeah, very much open to new connections, new people, new opportunities. I'm on Instagram, Aslanova. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, unfortunately, and that's it, I think. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Email.
I'll put everything in the description.
Phone number, address.
Yeah, I'll put everything in the description. I want to say, Karyna, thank you for this raw and hilarious conversation. Your story shows exactly what Identity Talk is about: living between cultures, breaking stereotypes, and owning your identity. For everyone watching or listening, make sure you check out her work. She's building something real here in the UK. Thank you very much.